Hey guys, welcome to Gilbert Gardens. This is a Canadian homesteading channel based out of Niagara Falls. And today we're finally getting around to the transmission service for this 2014 Ram 1500, the Eco Diesel. Eco Diesel. This service pretty much applies to any car, truck, or SUV that has the 8 HP 45, the 70, or the 90 transmission. All three of those transmissions use the same pan, which is what I got here. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say thanks to everybody who's been following these videos and commenting and liking and all that stuff. It's really made a big difference for us. We didn't really think much of this channel when we started it. I just wanted to put a couple of maintenance videos up just to kind of have some fun and stuff like that. And it seems like they've really taken off and they've helped a couple people, so that's awesome, and we'll keep trying to pump them out, which is what we're doing today. So we'll get right into it. This transmission service is a little bit more involved. It's not just like a rear diff where you just puke the fluid out and refill it, right? There's a bit of a procedure to it. I've got the procedure written down, which I recommend before you start. You should write it down, make sure you know what's going on. It's not crazy complicated, but there's a sequence, right? This service is like, I've been quoted up to $2,000 Canadian to do, which is ridiculous. I've got some aftermarket fluid, aftermarket pan, and I've dropped it down to just a few $100s Canadian, which is crazy, you know. So let's go over what you're going to need for this transmission service. Obviously you're going to need a filter pan assembly is what it's called. The transmission filter is actually molded directly into the pan on these trucks. Interesting idea. They're not serviceable, at least this one isn't. You can buy aftermarket filter pan assemblies where the filters actually screw off, like come off of the pan, and then you can change them. Unfortunately for this, like, you know, this entire thing's going to go into the trash after. But you know, that's how it goes. It comes with the magnets built in. Unfortunately, I thought this might have been removable, so I was pulling up on one of these magnets and it broke off. So I'm short a magnet, but I'm still going to use it. My particular filter pan came with all new screws. I bought it off Rock Auto, where I pick up a lot of my parts. So the Rock Auto part is 565402. All right, and again, that'll be in the description for you. Basically, it shows up. I think you got 13 bolts. These are a Torx. It's a T40. Okay, T40 to get those filter pan screws on. You got a fill plug and the drain plug. Drain plug's actually built right into the filter, into the pan rather. So the fill plug is going to be a 8mm, okay? 8 for that, and I believe this one's a 10. Yeah, drain plug is a 10. That's all you need for those, 3 sockets. There are some torque specs involved with it. I've got a little torque wrench here. The biggest torque you're going to need is 25 pounds. Like, this is a plastic pan, so you can imagine like these little guys here, they call for about 7.5 pounds, which is nothing. You know, the lowest setting this thing even goes to is 10. So, you know, I'm going to put just below, I'm going to put it to 10 basically, and just give it a little click. Alrighty, so that's your filter pan assembly. You'll need your fluid. I believe the total fluid capacity is about 6 liters, if I remember. The procedure says 3 to 4 liters should come out. I would buy 6 liters just to be on the safe side, and then you've got some left over for next time. You'll need some gloves if you're into that kind of stuff there. I've also got one of these fluid transfer pumps. If you guys have been watching our videos, I use these a lot. They're super handy. I bought 2 of them, one for gear oil and one for ATF and transmission. So I got a teeny bit of ATF fluid down there from the transfer case video. I'm just gonna mix it in. Shouldn't be too bad. It's only a couple dribbles there. Let's go over the procedure really quick here, actually, before we get too crazy. Okay, so I got it written down a little notepad here. We're gonna secure the vehicle because you will actually be putting the vehicle in drive, neutral, and reverse when it's running in your garage or wherever. I would recommend you chalk the wheels. You can do what you like though. At least the parking brake, okay? Secure the vehicle. We're going to, right away, we're just going to loosen the fill bolt, okay? Not the drain bolt. We're going to loosen the fill bolt because, like all procedures when it comes to filling and draining fluid, you want to make sure at the end of the day you can put fluid back into whatever you're filling. You can imagine if we drain the transmission fluid and this bolt shears off or something terrible happens, we have no way to fill the transmission, we're screwed. So you want to at least make sure we take the fill plug out, put it aside. We're going to loosen the drain bolt and let some of the fluid drain out, right? We're going to loosen the bolts that hold the pan on, all 13 of them. I've read online it's a good idea to start at the rear of the transmission and work your way to the front. As the fluid naturally wants to flow that way, we'll have less of a mess. This is my first time doing this transmission service, so you'll be learning just like me. Alrighty? So yeah, once we drain all the fluid, we'll make sure the seal around the grommet here is clean. These come pre-installed with the grommets on them. At least this particular pan did. We'll torque, okay? We're going to torque just like a wheel lug. Wherever you start, just work the opposite, okay? And work your way back until you end up in the middle. Okay? Whatever sequence you want to torque it to, just try to work it opposite, just like you do a tire. Yeah, so we'll torque it down 10 pounds. I'm going to put on, calls for about 7.5, but like I said, I'll put 10 down. We're going to be filling about 3 to 4 liters, right? Whatever kind of fell out. We're going to fill it up until the fill plug dribble starts to come down, right? As it comes up, it's going to start overflowing. Once it starts overflowing, we're going to take the fill bolt, we're going to put it back in the top of the transmission and just do it hand tight. And then at that point, we're going to jump in the truck and start it up, okay? This transmission service is temperature sensitive. It's 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. That's kind of the working range. You should be doing the next little bit of procedure between 30 and 40 degrees Celsius. If you hit 40, you got to shut down and let your temperature drop back down, okay? Because this fluid is so sensitive to the temperature, it expands and contracts quite a bit, and it's really important that you hit that 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get in the truck, we'll hand tighten the fill. We'll start it up, we'll let it warm up. If you have a dash that tells you your temperature gauge, which you should, when you hit 30 degrees Celsius, I'll put down whatever that is in Fahrenheit, sorry guys down south. We will start the engine and work through the gears for 10 seconds each. So we're going to start with the parking brake on, vehicle secured, put it in drive, leave it there for 10 seconds, neutral, 10 seconds, and reverse for 10 seconds. Then we're going to jump out, keep the truck running, okay? And we're going to check the dribble, okay? So as we work through the gears, it should have sucked in some fluid, right? Into the transfer case and throughout. So we should technically be low still. If you get underneath and there's no dribble, we need to add fluid until we get a small dribble. In between 30 and 40 degrees Celsius, we put the fill plug back in and we torque it down to 25 pounds. And then that's the end of it. We need a tiny little dribble between 30 and 40 degrees, and then that's the service, okay? So I'll be going over this as we go through the video. Just wanted to put that out there now. I would just write it down if I was you, and then you have it with you in case you forget something. Okay, let's grab the truck and back her in. All right, so it's the next morning, and gotta get a coffee into me right away here. So next morning, I'm ready to start the service. I did fail to mention I'm going to be using a scanning tool to check the temperature while I'm underneath the truck, and I'll probably remote start the truck from underneath as well. I use this little ATB 2 scanning tool. Now they're about 10 bucks. I actually have a video on the channel here on how to scan and clear a check engine light for 10 bucks, I think it's called. I'll post a link for it somewhere around here. Basically, yeah, you just plug this in underneath the dash and you download the app. It's called Torque. I paid a couple extra bucks for the Torque Pro. It gives you a couple extra features, but the standard free version will do just fine. Once you've started the truck, you can actually load all your sensor settings on your phone. You can watch the real-time revs, all the temperatures. It's pretty cool too. You can watch boost gauge and all that stuff while you're driving. There's lots of cool stuff. So I'll be under the truck with the phone, just doing the procedure. When I start it and I hit 30 degrees, I'll know to start pumping it up and making sure that I got my dribble. So just want to let you know I'm going to use this, but you're more than welcome to just jump out of the truck, start it, check your gauge, make sure you're at 30 degrees, and then we'll start the refill procedure, okay? So with that being said, let's get under the truck. I've got my world's biggest oil pan. I got my regular sized oil pan. And if you're not sure where the transmission is on these trucks, it's directly behind the oil pan. I mean, obviously we were looking at the pan earlier. It's right here. And the drive shaft's right here, which will be spinning when we put it in drive and reverse. So we don't want to be anywhere near this thing, right? We shouldn't be, because we're going to jump out and go into our truck, put it in the drive and reverse, and then come back in. But just for safety, right? You want to know where everything is. So on the first part of the service, we've got to crack the fill bolt, right? Not the drain bolt. We want to crack the fill bolt. A little bit of torque on her there. There could be a little fluid coming out. Remember, the truck's cold right now. Oh, there comes the fluid there. Quite a bit of fluid there, and that's the fill. So this transmission is right full of fluid, and it is brown. It's like I couldn't quite call it chocolate milk, but she's pretty close. We'll loosen the drain bolt now. So that's kind of an odd bolt. So a plastic bolt. I've loosened it a bunch. I'm starting to drain it now. I've got a bit of a dribble. I'm gonna run and grab a pair of gloves because I can already tell this is gonna get messy. It's definitely kind of an interesting design. I don't even know if you can fully remove this bolt. It's like it's opening from the outside and the fluid is traveling around the bolt head. I got about 6 dribbles there, so I'm going to try one more time to get it off more, but... Alright, so I think I'm going to let that drain. We'll pop back up top quickly. I'm just going to I'll probably put 5 liters into my my fluid transfer pump and just get ready to pump the transmission. I'll let this thing drain for a bit. Alright, so it's been about, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. Pretty much got a slow dribble there. I'm going to go ahead and start removing the transmission pan bolts from the rear of the transmission forward. Now there's definitely not much torque on those. So what I'm doing right now is I am going to remove the bolts from the rear of the transmission first, which is back here. I just want to loosen everything off right now. Alright, so I had to go change my light out. You know, you get what you pay for in life. Cheap lights, cheap results. Alright, coming down with the transmission pan. Yeah, there's definitely some fluid left in there. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's your transmission, the bottom half anyhow. So I'll go get the new filter and we'll line it up and we'll get her bolted on. I'm going to use 10 pounds of torque on these little guys. Look at that, one hand. Like, am I good or what? And you gotta make sure it gets pushed back up into that hole. There's a little hole right there. There it is. Okay, so with a little bit of force, there's a gasket there, it looks like. And you want to kind of stir it at the front of the transmission and get that in first, okay? And then you can push the whole pan back up into the transmission housing there. Such an awkward position, jeez. Yeah, I would recommend getting the old extension out for these. Alright, that should be all 13. Alright, so I got all my bolts on finger tight. I got my torque wrench set to 10 pounds, which is pretty much nothing. Something's not right here. Why isn't she clicking? No, that ain't right. So my torque wrench at 10 pounds, it's just not clicking at all. So I can tell I'm already putting like 40 or 50 on. That ain't right. Plastic pan, right? So I'm just gonna do it by hand. That's why you don't cheap out on torque wrenches, right? That's 10. We're ready to do our initial fill now. So I think I'll just use my small pan. And I've got my fluid transfer pump over there. I put 5 liters into it, so I think that'll be enough. We'll have a look. I mean, you can use this using a little pump that you thread onto the bottles. That would also work. There she goes. All right, so there's my dribble. We got our dribble. I put 4 liters in. So I'd say at least almost 3 are in there right now. Okay, so I put my fill bolts in just hand tight like we were saying, right? I've got probably 3 liters in there now. I've got my fluid transfer pump kind of pushed up into this cross member here. Just waiting, and then we're going to jump in the truck and fire it up, hit the 30 degrees, and run it through the gears, and then top it up. Okay, so it looks like I'm right around 30 degrees Celsius. I'm going to go up, put the truck into drive for 10 seconds, neutral, and reverse for 10 seconds, okay? Then I'm going to come down here in between, I'm going to try and go 35 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to open the fill and top it up. Alright, so I was filling it up, watching the counter on my app, and I hit 39 degrees. So I shut her down. What happened was I put 4 liters in the transfer pump, and I used all 4 liters. I ran out of fluid and it still wasn't dribbling. So, you know, I guess you should probably have an extra one on hand just in case. So I put 2 more in, so, you know, I've got 6 liters now, so there's no way it's going to take more than that. But now I'm ready. I just let the transmission cool off. It should be around 33, 34 degrees. I'm going to fire the truck back up right away. I'll put it in drive, neutral, reverse, same as before. And I'll take the fill bolt out, check for a dribble. If I've got a dribble, I'll put it back in and I'm good to go. If not, I'll top it up. that went pretty much as planned. Just going to get the torque wrench set up for 25 pounds for the fill bolt. Hopefully it works. I don't know what the deal is with the smaller. There it is, 25. Alright, give everything a bit of a clean up here, and that's pretty much it. Alright, well, that's the transmission service complete. That was definitely the more involved service on this truck. I did run into issues, you know, it's my first time doing it. I wasn't prepared for how much fluid the transmission was going to take. It took over 4 liters. I'd say somewhere around 4.5. So, you know, it definitely helps having the phone down there with the app so you can read the temperatures as you get close to the 40 degrees. It's not necessary. You can just roll it off the truck. As soon as you hit 39 or 40, just shut it down, like I said, right? Just let the transmission cool off and then restart the procedure. I added a little bit extra and it worked out just fine. So, I mean, it's up to you if you want to do this service or not. Lifetime fluid. This actually has a little bit of new fluid in, so it changed the color quite a bit, but let me show you. That's how dark it is at around 200,000 kilometers. You know, it almost feels a little bit thicker too than the new stuff is like, you know, it's really thin. This, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I'm also looking at the old filter pan, and you know, the magnets are just covered in material, like quite a bit, you know. So I would recommend changing this. Do you have to do it between 80 and 120,000 kilometers? I don't know. That's up to you. I kind of wish I had done it at that interval to see what the fluid was like. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to want to just follow the recommended, the manufacturer's specs. You know what I mean? This fluid change with the filter and the fluid wasn't too bad. It was a few $100 Canadian. If you go to the dealership, for me anyways, in this area, it's up to $2,000. It's just ridiculous. Like I said, it is a bit more involved, but it's not worth no $2,000. Anybody can do this service as long as you know how to run a wrench and read a thermometer. Alright, so yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again to everybody who's been following the channel. This is a Canadian homesteading channel. I do a lot of my own maintenance, like I said. And yeah, it's been fun so far. There's still lots of videos to come on the EcoDiesel. You know, I'm working my way, you know, back to front, front to back. As things start to break down, I'm making videos on them. And you know, I'm learning lots as I go through the truck as well. You know, they're still fairly new trucks, you know, 5 years old. If you go to the dealership, especially when it comes to a lot of the emission stuff, they still don't have a handle on it. So, you know, we're all just learning, working our way through the truck. So, you know, consider subscribing if you own a Ram 1500, an EcoDiesel. We also have a whole bunch of videos on the homesteading side, if you're into that kind of thing, just kind of like a daily vlog. Lots of cool projects coming down the pipe anyways. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.